reader today. Thank you very much. The theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. The theme for March is The Flow of Coming and Going. Our topic for today is I got it, I lost it. I asked for permission to share something that happened this morning that kind of reflects what our reading is today. I have a beautiful cousin, Evan. He's 33 years old, and he is amazing. And he was diagnosed about a year and a half ago with a really progressive neuroendocrine cancer. And we found out Friday he has just under maybe 2 months to live. And he is my baby, little baby. And so I've been thinking, what do I need? And I thought I have 2 questions for Evan. And this morning in my head, I was rehearsing how I was going to ask my 2 questions. And I had a full-on dialogue with him. And at the moment that I was dialoguing with him, my phone rang and it was Evan. And I said, Evan, I have 2 questions. You have to be quick with Evan. I have 2 questions. Number 1, may I please be your preparation transition coach? And I was going to launch into the curriculum that I had already made up in my head. And he said, yes. I don't need to hear anything. Yes. Yes. Emphatically, yes. And I was blessed. And I said, question number 2, Evan, I want to fly to California. And I want 10 minutes. I want 10 minutes to lay next to you. And I want to hold you. And I want to sing the made-up songs to you. And I want to stroke your hair really softly, and I just want 10 minutes. And he said, yes, emphatically yes, and I want more. And I said, okay. And he said, I gotta go. I gotta poop. And I said, okay, I love you. Goodbye. And so that just happened about half an hour, which lends into what our reading is today. Ada Shanti said, who coined the phrase, I got it, I lost it. And he wrote, once we lose our sense of self, it's as if we have lost the whole world as we knew it. At that moment, whether that moment is just a glimpse of something more sustained, we suddenly realize with incredible clarity that we truly are in no way limited to the small sense of self that we thought we were. Read that again, the whole thing. Okay. We suddenly, I have to figure out where I was. We suddenly realize with incredible clarity that what we truly are is in no way limited to the small sense of self that we thought we were. Amen. And so let us affirm together today, right now, I let go of identification with doing and allowing the self to be. Thank you. And here is Reverend Dr. Kathleen Johnson.
Those very powerful personal demonstrations of prayer are so important, I think, for all of us to hear. So thank you so much. And you too, Deb. Really appreciate, because there are all of these challenges that we go through, and then we have these beautiful, what I call God winks, where, okay, there it is. So thank you so much. So I have a mantra to share with all of you for letting go of the ego from my friend Steve Berman. It goes like this: ego, egoing, egon. You Ready? Let's do it. Ego, egoing, egon. So today we're rising higher, growing deeper with this beautiful sense of letting go of what we call the ego or the conditioned mind. So the focus today will be awakening from the conditioned mind into another state, disidentifying with the ego. In other words, no longer thinking that that is our identity. And the last one is surrendering into the wholeness of who we are in truth, which is more than these bodies and these thoughts, but simply the one that's observing and watching it all and choosing. Point 1, awakening from the conditioned mind. I think it's very clear to us at this point in time that when we show up on this planet and as we move through life, that we are being taught certain things are true and certain things are not true. Whether it's from our family of origin or whether it's from our experiences in school or from the social media, whatever it is, we continue to be given this information about what life is like. And then we also have interpretations of things that happen as well. All of that helps to create something called the conditioned mind. The conditioned mind, our social conditioning. And so awakening from that conditioned mind is a very key part of the process of our spiritual unfoldment. Even recognizing what it is, and that's why meditation and mindfulness is so important, because we learn to be the observer, that as thoughts arise, as ideas arise, we're able to observe them and then notice the impact of those thoughts on our bodies, the emotional impact, and then be able to discern, is this a belief that I want to keep or not? If it's causing a lot of suffering, then that's an indicator that thought is not aligned with the truth of who you are. I love that very clear distinction that, and I have to give credit to Byron Katie for that, because that was like a real, oh yeah, if it's a stressful thought, it's not the truth. So this mental conditioning, this perspective that we get on the world, and our perspective that we're taught or we come to see, it might be a liberal perspective, a moderate perspective, a conservative perspective. It might be being an optimist or being a pessimist. It might be being in the habit of seeing the beauty in the world, or in the habit of seeing the world as very threatening. All of that social conditioning is something that we have the power to look at and decide, is this what I want to continue doing? Is this serving me? And not only is it serving me, is it serving everyone that I have a connection with? And is it serving our world? So again, letting go of awakening to that conditioned mind is essential for inner peace, and also for being ambassadors of peace and love on the planet, being good stewards of our planet. So Adyashanti, a spiritual teacher, that quote was from him that Tisha just read, says that this one question, and here's the question, what do I know for certain? What do I know for certain? Contemplating on that question destroys the whole sense of the small self or the ego, which is a good thing. That's what it's meant to do. And so we get then to see that everything that we think that we are, everything we think that the world is based on assumptions, beliefs, and opinions. Things that we were told were true, or interpretations that we came up with along the way. So I really like this idea of going into the silence and asking, what do I know for certain? And so this is what I'm imagining as I'm doing this, is that the wholeness, that expansive self of who I am in and looking at that question is like this big, huge wash of love that washes away all the fear, all the, just basically dissolves all of that belief that I'm somehow separate, that somehow I'm separate from God. And I was thinking of the song, "We Let the Love Wash Over Us, We Let It Be." And to me, that was just such a great awareness, of another higher awareness of what that song means. That beautiful wash of the Spirit as we're witnessing the beliefs and their impact and noticing and then just letting them dissipate and be washed away in the love of who we are, the wholeness of who we are. The next point, disidentifying with the ego. So what I was contemplating with this is first of all, the great blessing of being part of the spiritual community. The great blessing in that we can be here to support one another in remembering who we are. The sense of belonging that we feel, that beautiful wash of love when we walk in the door. And the safety of being here and supporting each other on the path. And then I also hear, and I've heard this from some folks here in this community, that then it's such a jolt to go back into the world and be involved with a lot of the chaos and stuff that's going on. So it can be kind of a jolt. And so to me, I was contemplating this. This is another opportunity for us to let go of another belief that somehow it's going to be different than it is here, that somehow we have to show up differently out there than in here. Right? So do we really? No. So anyway, that was, the disidentifying with the ego, because that's ego that says, oh, it's really good here and it's not so good out there. So as we disidentify with the ego, then we're able to see life from a higher place. Remember who we are. We are the light and the love of Spirit, wherever we go, with whomever we are. And then when we do that, we let go of this sense of us and them. It's not us and them. It's all God. We're seeing through the eyes of God. We're seeing beyond the appearance to the beautiful, brilliant presence of the divine in everyone. So Adyashanti says this. He said that we are not a separate person. We are the consciousness watching the self, pretending to be a separate person. I'm going to say that again. We are not a separate person. We are the consciousness watching the self pretend to be a separate person. Whoa, mind-blowing, right? Anybody want to affirm this with me? I mean, you can or you don't have to, but let's repeat. If you want to, repeat after me. I'm not a separate person. I am the consciousness watching the self, pretending to be a separate person. Whoa, that's mind-blowing, huh? And yet, there's a beautiful book called Conscious Revelation that is a perspective from quantum physics and spirituality, and that's exactly what, when we understand the unified field and who we are, that's exactly what they have concluded, even at the level of the quantum physics, that unified field of universal mind that we talk about all the time is what we are, we emanate from. Surrendering to the wholeness of the true self. I love this quote by Eckhart Tolle, which explains surrendering so beautifully. He said, when you accept this moment fully, when you no longer argue with what is, compulsive thinking wanes and is replaced by alert stillness, a state of non-resistance. This state of inner non-resistance opens you up to unconditioned awareness, which is infinitely greater than the human mind. This is exactly what we're talking about. Then this vast intelligence can express itself through you and help you both within and without. And you often find that circumstances in your life change for the better. To me, that's such a beautiful expression of the idea that Jesus of Nazareth taught, which is seek first the kingdom, and all else is added. Seek first the kingdom of heaven within. That's what we're talking about. It's a heavenly state of consciousness when we shift from the ego to the essence, the essential self, and become the observer. That's heavenly consciousness. And then we become that beautiful, that flow of that beautiful intelligence that flows through us and as us and transforms our life. Our life has to transform to match that awareness. And sometimes people see things kind of falling apart, that maybe haven't served them, but then new things come in their place, new manifestations. And here's one last point that I want to leave with you before we're going to do a little practice. And that is that this state of awakening, of being self-realized, shifting out of ego into this expanded state, is not a static state. Darn. That's what you might be thinking. But the truth is, Adyashanti makes it very clear that we let go of the idea that we're just going to be self-realized and then we're done, one and done. But what we'll do is we tend to shift back in and out, back into the dreamlight state of thinking we're separate, and then back into that expanded awareness of being able to understand the connection and oneness of it all. And so it's natural. And so we can let go of judging ourselves when we get full-blown into our egoic selves. And then there's something we can do to shift back. And those are the spiritual tools that we teach here: spiritual mind treatment, visioning, meditation, beautiful ways of getting back into alignment. We have practitioners here who can support you on your spiritual journey too. Will all of the licensed practitioners raise your hands, please, who are here today? Okay, there are 3 of us who are here today. We have a bigger group, but. So the thing is we're here together as spiritual community to walk each other home to this awareness of who we are in truth. And that way we're so much more effective in the world. And we don't have to fall into despair when we hear things on the news, because we understand that we have a powerful part to play. Those are prayer requests. We have a powerful part to play in shifting all that's going on. Okay, so let's practice. You ready? So I invite you to turn within, find a comfortable position, turn within. Let's breathe, let's stretch. This is a little bit of some things from our neurobiologists, our neuro people, who tell us that we can relax by stretching. Relaxing and letting go, that's how we shift from the dreamlike state into pure awareness of who we are. And remember to breathe. And just tell yourself, relax, relax. settling into the present moment, letting go of what happened before and what might happen later, and just enjoy the beautiful atmosphere of this present moment. And then begin to witness, to watch the breath or the sensations or the thoughts that rise and fall. And just affirm to yourself, ego, egoing, egon. Ego, egoing, egon. I am seeing through the eyes of spirit, the eyes of God, whatever works for you. I'm seeing from the wholeness of who I am. Take a moment and step into this identity of the true self. I'm going to be quiet for a moment. There is so much peace in that. And then when you're ready, just open your eyes. So that was a little taste. I'd like to end with this beautiful quote by Adyashanti. At the moment that consciousness wakes up from its dream of separation, there is a great sense of great sense of relief. That's why some people start laughing and crying. They are feeling the relief of finally being outside the dream. Awakening is sort of like your first spiritual kiss of reality. I love that. First spiritual kiss of reality. Your introduction to the truth of who and what you are, an experience of complete and utter non-resistance. Life flows wonderfully and beautifully, almost magically. Things show up when they need to show up. Decisions are made without actually deciding them. Everything has a sense of obviousness. And even if you've only glimpsed reality for a moment, just that little taste that we had just there, something within you has changed forever.